Hello and welcome to Narayana IAS Academy. I am Pratik, your faculty for Daily News Analysis. Now students, continuing with our Daily News Analysis tradition, we shall be discussing 5 important topics from the Hindu and the Indian Express. So let's get a quick idea of the 5 topics that we shall be discussing in today's session. The first article is taken from Hindu page number 8. Now here, Maldives is trying to recalibrate its foreign policy vis-a-vis India, which means Maldives is trying to balance its relationship with India and China. The second article is taken from again Hindu page number 8. Now in this article we shall be discussing the Great Nicobar project, especially the need to balance developmental need and the environmental concern. So we'll understand what is the Great Nicobar project. The third article is taken from Indian Express page number 30. Now in this article students will understand what is critical minerals and why the critical minerals are important from the economic as well as national security perspective. The fourth article is taken from Indian Express page number 11. Now students, Srinagar has been tagged as the World Craft City. So we'll understand what is World Craft City and the benefits associated with the World Craft City. And the last article is taken from Indian Express page number 13. Now this article tries to highlight or explore that why it is important to have better social security net for ASHA workers, anganwadi workers, etc. Right? These are the 5 topics that we shall be discussing in today's session, followed by questions for you to understand the type of questions that can be asked in the UPSC examination. So students, let's get started. Students, the title of the first topic is From China Tilt to a Balancing with Beijing and Delhi. Right now, in this article, you need to understand the India-Maldives relations, how the India-Maldives relations are going through frictions, and how there's a ray of hope with the president of Maldives attending the swearing-in ceremony of the new government in India. Right, and you can map this particular topic under GS paper 2. So, previous question asked in the year 2015, Project Mawsum is considered a unique foreign policy initiative of the Indian government to improve relationship with its neighbors, right? So, such type of questions can be asked. So, what is the context? The context is that Maldives is trying to recalibrate its foreign policy vis-a-vis India. Given that frictions were developed in the India and Maldives relations, Maldives, it seems that they have understood the importance of India and also understood the importance of balancing the ties with India and Maldives. And this can be reflected with the fact that the president of Maldives, Mohammad Muizzu, he attended the swearing-in ceremony of the new government, right? This is the context. Now, let's try to look at Maldives. So, this is Maldives. Now, again, there can be a question in the examination asking you that which line or which point divides India from Maldives, right? So again, this is a homework for you, but if you look at this map carefully, you can see that this 8-degree channel, this channel actually separates Maldives from India. Specifically, it's the Nicobar Island, which is a part of the larger Lakshadweep Islands, right? So, whenever it comes to the island nations or India's neighboring countries, you need to know about the location, the nearby regions, countries, equator, Cancer, Capricorn, etc. Everything, right? This is how you should understand the map. Now, again, let's try to understand India-Maldives ties in order for you to understand the current development, right? Now, talking about India and Maldives, they share a rich cultural and historical connection. So, the relations between both the nations or both the regions, it spans centuries. Especially in the 12th century, Buddhism was one of the important religions in Maldives. Now, Maldives was a country which got free from the British in the year 1965, but unfortunately, Maldives did not transition it to a democratic nation as India transitioned post-India getting independence. So again, there were many military coups in Maldives, but the successful democratic transitioning in 2008 has brought India and Maldives closer. Now, India and Maldives, they negotiate in different dimensions like political, military, business, civil society, etc. Right? Now, India in the year 2024 increased its development assistance from 400 crore to 600 crores, right? Then India also extended 50 million treasury bill for a year on zero interest. Now, what is this treasury bill? Now, this is a bill issued to raise funds, right? Is a short-term debt instrument used primarily for raising revenues, and usually the treasury bills are sold at a discounted price, right? Then India is a key supplier of everyday necessities like rice, spices, fruits, vegetables, and medicines. Now, India also serves as the primary education provider. So many students from Maldives, they come to India to seek education, right? Then India has a legacy of providing security assistance. Now, students, in 1988, Maldives was attacked by external forces, right? Now, when Maldives was under siege, right, the Indian forces held Maldives to prevent from the attack or from the military coup under Operation Cactus. Then apart from this, India and Maldives, they participate in the joint naval exercises. For example, we have this joint exercises Equivariant, Dosti and Ekta. Then whenever Maldives was under crisis, India has always helped Maldives, be it the COVID-19 crisis, be it the drinking water shortage. India has always come to the rescue of Maldives. This is how India has helped Maldives. Now, students, if we look at the location of Maldives, Maldives is important for India strategically. Why? Because the location of Maldives in the Indian Ocean. The location, it provides a gateway to the Arabian Sea and beyond. So, having control over this region or this island will help India to monitor the traffic and at the same time ensure that the region is secure. The region is not under any threat, right? So, again, the way the president of Maldives attended the swearing-in ceremony, it reflects that the relationship between India and Maldives is gradually improving. Now, talking about the frictions in relations with Maldives. The swearing-in ceremony is important. Why? Because the current president of Maldives, Mohamed Moizu, he won the elections in Maldives on the back of anti-India campaign. So he spoke vehemently against India. Based on that, actually he won the elections in Maldives. Now, second is tourism stream. Now, the Prime Minister of India was on a visit to Lakshadweep to promote tourism in Lakshadweep. The people in Maldives or the government, people in Maldives did not take this with a good spirit. Why? Because they thought that Indian government is trying to attract people who go to Maldives for tourism and attract them to Lakshadweep. So again, this brought frictions in between the relations. Pro-China policies. Now, Maldives has accepted China as a strategic partner. So there are multiple investments done by China in Maldives, defense cooperation, and both Maldives and China have elevated their relationship into a comprehensive strategic cooperative partnership. Then again, China, when it comes to China, China is focused more on the community development and housing projects rather than infrastructure projects, which are very, very important for Maldives. Then Maldives owes China around $1.5 billion. So again, these are the tensions that were existing between India and China. Similar such of tensions or some sort of frictions have developed between Maldives and China. So here you see that Maldives was very close to China. Now it has understood that it is not possible for Maldives to put all the eggs in one basket, that is, get completely or go close to China. They understood that they have to balance the relationship between China and India. So the question is, when Maldives had accepted or embraced China as a key strategic partner, why is Maldives now aiming for reconciliation with India? One is because of economic challenges. Now, Maldives is again going through an economic difficulty. For example, look at the debt to GDP ratio. It's 110%. The foreign reserves are just 622 million. Talking about the expectations of Maldives from China. Maldives wants China to invest in the infrastructure projects, but China is investing only in the housing projects, or let's say the community development projects. Second reason. Third, now India has been accommodative of the interests or needs of Maldives. India has never responded or India never had this knee-jerk reaction to the political statements given out in Maldives. India has always been accommodative of the needs and interests of Maldives, and this is what the Maldives government has appreciated now. And Maldives also have realized that it is very important to balance the relation with China or between China and India. They cannot put all the eggs in one basket. This is another reason why Maldives is now aiming for reconciliation with India. So given that Maldives is now trying to come closer to India, what can India do? One, we have to continuously engage with Maldives. Just because there are few political statements coming out in Maldives which are anti-India doesn't mean India has to respond immediately. Right? India has to be patient. India has to wait and watch for the right time so that we can leverage our relationship with Maldives. Now you might ask or wonder, why is Maldives so important, right? Given that Maldives is such a tiny island. Now students, we know that the focus of the world has shifted from Atlantic Pacific to Indo-Pacific. The traffic of the ships has increased. More and more players are engaging in the Indian Ocean region. So India being one of the vital stakeholders in the Indian Ocean region, it is very, very important for India to have its presence in Indian Ocean region. Not only presence, but also to ensure that the region is secure. Because if the region is not secure, the implication or ramification would also be felt by India. That's the reason we want this region secure, and for that we would need Maldives. Economic support, again India has to continue supporting Maldives again to get Maldives out of the economic distress, right? We should continue to focus on the infrastructure projects through which Maldives generate revenues. Strategic investments, we have to invest in infrastructure and capacity building projects, and there should be tangible benefits which can be seen by the people of Maldives. Reciprocal sensitivities. Now by helping Maldives to come out of the economic distress and by focusing on capacity building and thus helping the people of Maldives, India can ensure that Maldives is also sensitive to India's interests. For example, whenever China uses submarines, right, or spy submarines in and around the Indian coastal regions, India has always been apprehensive. So by making sure that Maldives understands India's sensitivities, Maldives can ensure that they wouldn't or they won't allow any foreign country to park or to allow the spy submarines in and around the Indian Ocean region, right? So this is how we can ensure reciprocal sensitivities. So way forward, again, Maldives has to balance relationship between China and India, and again we have to make sure that we continue our cooperation with Maldives, and we also need to include other strategic players like Japan, Saudi, UAE and US to ensure that Maldives is in a position to come out of the economic problem, at the same time ensure that the region is safe and secure, right? So this is about the article. I hope students you understood the article. Students, the title of the next topic is Nicobar Triangle, right? Now, in this article, you need to understand the Great Nicobar project, what is it about, and the challenges associated with this project. You can map this under GS paper 3, Environmental Degradation and Environmental Impact Assessment. So, previous question, which of the following is geographically closest to Great Nicobar? So, please identify this location in the Atlas map, or let's say Google Maps, and try to identify which of the islands or places is close to Great Nicobar. So what is the context? The context is that the Union Tribal Ministry is currently reviewing the forest clearance documentation for this huge project that is underway in the Greater Nicobar, right? So now the government is trying to balance, one, the developmental needs of the region with the environmental preservation and the rights of the indigenous inhabitants, right? So on one hand, we have to ensure that development should take place, and on the other hand, we have to ensure that the environment is not being damaged, or for that matter, the rights of the indigenous people or the tribal people is not violated. So let's try to understand what is this Great Nicobar project. It's a large-scale infrastructure development initiative which aims to leverage India's or the Great Nicobar's strategic location. Right now, this place is very close to the Malacca Strait. Right. So just let me show you. This is the Great Nicobar Island. This is India. This is the Bay of Bengal Sea. This is the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and this is the Great Nicobar, and then this is the Strait of Malacca, right? So it's very close to the Strait of Malacca, which is very important geostrategically, right? So the project involves a transshipment port. Now, what is transshipment port? Now, this is a port where the ships or where the goods are transferred from one ship to other ships, or where the goods are transported from, let's say, small vessels to large vessels. Right. So in the global network of ships, such ports are very, very important for the seamless transportation of goods. Then international airport township will be established. Then we have this 450 megavolt amperes gas and solar based power plant. Right. And then this project will cover 130 square kilometer of pristine forest and has received stage 1 environmental clearance. Right. Now, as this project would require the government to cut down 9.6 lakh trees. This is huge. For this project, the government will be actually cutting down 9.6 lakh trees. And in order to compensate this, the government has assured that there will be compensatory afforestation in the state of Haryana. Now, Haryana, which is very, very far away from the Great Nicobar, and the government has promised that the trees that will be destroyed will try to compensate that by planting trees in the state of Haryana. Right. Now, what are the concerns of the project? Simple. Environmental impact. Right. For example, the experts have pointed out that it's going to threaten the biodiversity of Great Nicobar Island, especially the Gallithiape, which is home to rare species like the leatherbuck turtle. The experts also point out that the clearance process has lacked transparency. Then other concern being that it's going to violate the rights of the traditional, or for that matter, the indigenous community like the Shumpin tribe. And for the very same, the National Commission for Scheduled Tribe has raised concern that how is it possible that without clearance, the government is going ahead with the project. Then the experts also point out that the regulatory and oversight mechanism is extremely poor or weak. And for the very same, the National Green Tribunal has ordered a report on forest clearance. But this report has not been made public, which means the mechanism is not being transparent. So what should the government do now? One, the government should engage in wide consultation. The government should ensure that each and every stakeholder is consulted. For example, the environmental experts, the tribal communities, right, before they can go ahead with this project. Second is, we have to make sure that we have to make the system or devise a system through which we have to set the accountability mechanism. Then the third is, we have to consider alternative location for afforestation. Now, constructing trees in a very far away location from Great Nicobar is not going to help the Great Nicobar Island recover from the damage. So we have to choose a place which is in the same island, which might be far away from the place which is being developed. The point is, we have to ensure that the area which is being damaged because of the developmental needs is recovered or compensated by planting trees in a somewhere different location. And then we have to ensure that the environmental safeguards are duly adhered to. So again, now these are some of the examples which you can mention in the exam, right? For example, in the past, a few huge projects like the Narmada Valley project or the mining projects in Odisha and Jharkhand have actually harmed the biodiversity of the region. And that's the reason we have to be extremely careful and ensure that such incidents should not repeat in the Great Nicobar Island Developmental Initiative, right? So again, we have to ensure that there should be, or the government should minimize the environmental and the social costs. For that, the government has to adopt a sustainable development approach, wherein the government has to balance the economic development with the ecological conservation and the social equity. Then we have to strengthen the environmental regulations. We have to ensure that the laws or the projects are adhered, that is, they are adhered to the environmental laws and the regulations. Then we have to promote inclusive development. We have to ensure that the people or the traditional people, the indigenous people are also, the benefits are also extended to the local people. And then finally, we have to mention, or we have to ensure that the monitoring and evaluation process is robust, through which we can balance both the developmental need and the environmental preservation. I hope students have understood the article. Students, the title of the next topic is Government Offers 10 New Critical Mineral Blocks Fresh Incentive, right? So in this article, it is important to understand what exactly is critical minerals, right? And this is important under GS paper 3, right, from the economic growth and mobilization of resources. So previous question asked in the year 2016 was on district mineral foundations, right? So again, such type of questions can be asked in the UPSC examination. Now, what is the context? The context is Ministry of Mines has launched the 4th tranche of the critical minerals auction, and it has offered 21 blocks across 14 states in our country, which means the government has launched or has initiated auctions to basically offer blocks to the different companies in 14 states. So the government has also given the incentive of up to 20 crore reimbursement for the exploration expenses. So for the exploration expenses, 20 crore reimbursement will be given to the company. Second, exploration license holders, the ones who have the license to explore the minerals, can also claim reimbursements for what? For geophysical investigations, exploratory drilling, and chemical and petrological analysis. Then additional funds will be also given by the government to the people or to the companies who have handed over for mining lease within 3 years of the exploration license execution, which means once you get the license, if you start exploring within 3 years, you will be getting additional funds from the government. So these are the incentives that the government of India is given to the exploration license holders. But the most important question is, what are critical minerals? Now, critical minerals are essential raw materials for the economic and national security. Why? Because these raw materials are used in the high-tech industries and renewable energy technologies. But these minerals are rare, they are difficult to mine, and they are very, very vulnerable to the supply chain disruptions, which can get disrupted because of the geopolitical tensions like the Russia-Ukraine war. So in 2023, the government of India identified 30 minerals as critical minerals by amending this particular act. And which are these 30 minerals? See, now it's not possible, I understand, to remember all the minerals, but at least we should know that there are 30 minerals, and just go through all the minerals and try to identify as much as possible, right? So here we see some of the common minerals like gallium, germanium, graphite, cobalt, copper, indium, lithium, right? So these are titanium, tin, then vanadium, tungsten, silicon, nickel. So these are some of the common minerals that you can keep in mind, right? Now, different countries may have their own unique list of critical minerals. So it's not that these set of minerals are the same across the across different countries. I hope you understood what is critical minerals. Now, significance of critical minerals, they are important for economic development. Why? Because the high-tech industries like the electronics, telecommunication, transport, defense and green technologies, they require such minerals, and as a reason such critical minerals are important for economic development, job creation and innovation in India. Second, they are important for national security. Now, the national security sectors like defense, aerospace, nuclear and space application, they require high quality and resilient materials. And as a reason, these raw materials can also be used in the defense sector. The next is environmental sustainability. Now, we know that we are graduating towards clean energy and low carbon economy. Now, this critical minerals is going to help India to make this transition, and also will help India to achieve the goal of 450 gigawatts from the renewable energy. Right. So, again, the geopolitical impact or the challenges, as we discussed, that these minerals are vulnerable in the global supply chains. Why? Because of the geopolitical impact. The Russia-Ukraine war can actually disrupt the supply of these raw minerals. Then limited domestic reserves. Now, India actually imports these minerals from different countries. Why? Because we have very limited domestic reserve, and then this increasing demand. Why? Because of this demand from the high-tech industries like the renewable energy, then the defense, and then the aviation, then the electronics, etc. Right? So, this can be the challenges. I hope students you understood this particular article. Students, the title of the next topic is Srinagar gets tag of World Craft City, right? So, this is important from art and culture, and this can be important for prelims as well as GS paper 1. So, previous question, safeguarding the Indian art heritage is a need of the moment, was a question asked in the year 2018. So, the topic that we shall be discussing can be used as an example to address such type of questions. Now, Srinagar has been recognized as World Craft City by the World Craft Council International. Now, apart from Srinagar, Jaipur, Mallapuram and Mysore are the other cities recognized by the World Craft Cities, or they are recognized as World Craft Cities. Now, this World Craft City Students initiative is spearheaded by World Craft Council. Now, World Craft Council is an international organization deciding, or the aim, the motto is to promote traditional crafts and artisanship world. So, here the art is being promoted, right? So, the goal of the World Craft Cities designation is to recognize and celebrate cities that have rich heritage in crafts and handmade arts, thereby promoting cultural exchange, tourism and economic development. So, point is to promote trade, right? So, the cities which are rich with a cultural legacy, or let's say heritage in crafts and handmade arts, such cities are being or given recognition globally. So, what are the benefits? One, you get a global recognition, which means of all the countries, the city that gets a tag will get a global recognition. Second, tourism will get a boost. So, looking at the importance of the arts or craft of that particular city, many people will visit that city, and thus tourism will be boosted. Economic development. Now, the artisans, right, the art that they make or create, they can ensure that their products have a wider market now. Why? Because that the city is getting recognized globally, and then cultural exchange. Now, all the World Craft Cities can collaborate and exchange programs. This is how the global understanding and appreciation of diverse craft traditions can be fostered, right? So, these are the benefits. Now, talking of the World Craft Council, now this is a non-profit, non-governmental organization that promotes traditional crafts globally. This World Crafts Council was founded in 1964, and very important point is it is affiliated with UNESCO, which is a part of United Nations. And this is organized in 5 regions. One is Africa, Asia, Pacific, Europe, Latin America and North America, right? So, this is the World Craft Cities and the World Craft Council International. So, this can be asked in the prelims examination. So, make sure that you know this particular cities under the World Craft Cities. I hope you understood this article. Students, the title of the next topic is Need Better Social Security Net for ASHA, Anganwadi and Midday Meal Workers, right? And in this article, you need to understand who are ASHA and Anganwadi workers, and this can be important from the prelims and the mains perspective as well. So a previous question was asked in the year 2012 on the National Rural Health Mission, right? So what is the context? The context is that prominent labor unions have requested few things from the finance ministry. And what is that? They are requested for a better social security net for the ASHA workers, the Anganwadi workers and the midday meal scheme workers. So what is social security? For example, for the formal employers, we have this provident fund, right? So this is nothing but social security net. So such social security net is being demanded for the people or workers who are part of the informal sector. So what is the demand? Permanent worker status and social security. There should be permanent worker status for the people who are working in the informal sectors or people who are part of the ASHA working community or for that matter the Anganwadi community. Then the second demand is that the Manrega or the duration of Manrega should be extended from 100 days to 200 days. So you know that under Manrega, 100 days employment is given by the government to the poor people or the people who are in need, right? So this 100 days has to be expanded to 200 days, right? The third is welfare for gig workers. Now, who are gig workers? Who do not have any security or social security net, or for that matter the people who are working in the informal sector, right? So there has to be welfare schemes for the gig workers, right? That is social security benefits, right? Then increased honorarium for the scheme workers like the midday meal scheme. Now what is honorarium? Now honorarium, which means it's a voluntary payment. Why? So it's a voluntary payment given by the employers or employees. Why? Because for a work done, this is a voluntary payment, which means payment is not expected, but the employer is actually appreciating the work, and as a reason the payment is given on a voluntary basis, right? So there has to be increased honorarium for the scheme workers. Then next, there should be funding for industrial boards like the BD workers welfare, the contract labor ban, right? So this board were getting cessed before the implementation of GST, but now these boards are not adequately funded. So the demand is that there should be funding for such industrial boards. Then there should be one ration, one nation scheme. So wherever you go, with the help of this one ration, you should be in a position to access the food grains that the government gives under the National Food Security Act, right? So these are some of the demands requested by the labor unions. And then the difference between ASHA workers and Anganwadi workers. ASHA workers, they are part of the National Rural Health Mission initiated in 2005. Anganwadi, they are part of Integrated Child Development Services, which was started way back in 1975. So ASHA workers, they act as a link between the people, community and the public health system. So the ASHA workers, they promote health awareness. They ensure that the healthcare services are accessible to the poor people or people in the rural areas. And about the Anganwadi workers, the focus is on improving the nutritional status and health of children under 6. Not only children, but also pregnant women, lactating mothers playing a crucial role in early childhood development. So this is the difference between ASHA workers and Anganwadi workers. I hope you understood the article. Students, it's time to discuss few questions, prelims and mains, right? So first question is, Galathea Bay is located in which of the following islands? Very easy question, right? We have discussed this in the article. It is Great Nicobar. The second one with reference to critical minerals. First statement, the minerals are rare, difficult to mine and often vulnerable to supply chain disruptions due to geopolitical factors. Yes, exactly. The United Nations Framework Classification in collaboration with individual countries declares the list of critical minerals based on their scarcity. Wrong. every country has got a different list of critical minerals. So second one is incorrect. Option E is the correct answer. Second, the third question about the world craft cities, Jaipur, Malappuram, Mysore and Srinagar are the cities recognized as world craft. Yes. The World Craft Cities initiative is spearheaded by UNICEF. Wrong. This is spearheaded by the World Craft Council International. The World Craft Council International, founded in 1964, is affiliated with UNESCO. Yes, this one is correct. So the correct answer is option B, 1 and 3. Then, with respect to ASHA workers. Now, ASHA workers were launched as part of National Urban, no, it's Rural Health Mission. So, first one is incorrect. They are primarily involved in providing tertiary medical care. Wrong. They act as link between community and public health system, promoting health awareness and facilitating access to. Yes, this one is correct. So option B, that is the correct answer for question number 4. Again, these are very, very easy questions, students. Then these are the minerals. Which of the following are declared as critical minerals? I told you to just try to understand or remember as much as possible. So again, all these minerals have been declared as critical minerals from the Government of India, right? So the correct answer is option D. Now, mains practice question. The question is discuss the strategic significance of the Maldives in the Indian Ocean region and analyze how recent diplomatic tensions between India and the Maldives could impact regional security and economic interests. Propose measures that both countries can take to enhance their bilateral relationship and maintain regional stability. So students, in the introduction, you can start by giving an overview of the India-Maldives relations, right? You can state that how the relationship started on a good note, but because of the frictions developed, the relationship came to a standstill, which now seems that there's a ray of hope for both the countries, right, to revive the relationship. Then the body you can highlight the strategic significance of Maldives, that is its role of a gateway to the Arabian Sea and beyond, right? So through Maldives we can monitor the international traffic or the maritime traffic, right? And then we can also, then you can focus on the impact of diplomatic tensions, right? The potential risk to the maritime security and surveillance, the economic implications and the broader regional dynamics, right? And then once you highlight the importance of Maldives, the reasons why the relationship had to go through a friction, now you need to provide major solution to overcome the hiccups in the relationship. One, diplomatic initiatives, right? There has to be continuous engagement, economic cooperation. We have to invest in the infrastructure projects in Maldives, so that we help Maldives to generate revenue. Security collaboration, joint maritime exercise is very, very important to ensure that the region is safe. Then cultural and educational exchanges to boost the soft power or to connect people of both the countries. And then you can highlight that how, given the frictional relationship between both the nations, both the relationships or both the countries have to ensure that they keep the relation healthy. They ensure that they are sensitive to the they take into consideration the sensitivities of both the countries and make sure that the region is prosperous and growing, right? So this is how you can conclude the answer. So students, I hope you understood how to write the answer. And that's it from our DNA session, students. I hope you understood all the 5 articles and the questions that we have discussed, right? So students, if you want us to continue with our DNA session, if you think that the DNA session is helping you, then please do like, share and subscribe to Narayana IAS. Thank you so much.